Good news, everyone, and welcome back to Splash Page. Futurama is back, and we just watched the first episode of the 11th season. And in this video, we're going to go through all of the callbacks and Easter eggs we found in the first episode. I was very pleased to see that they basically picked up the show where they left off in the finale episode. Originally, I thought they were going to go back to the year 3000, so the beginning of the series, but instead they basically just unpaused time and began from there. And honestly, let's not think too hard about this. As a cartoon, the show doesn't need to worry too much about continuity and overcomplicate itself. Let's just be happy we are back with the Planet Express team and getting new Futurama episodes. In the intro, I noticed this alien sign and I translated it, and it says, "Tasty human burgers." Yum. The whole episode basically is making fun of how many times Futurama got canceled and how unoriginal modern day programming is. I'm not going to talk through every single story beat, rather just focus on the Easter eggs and callbacks. So we jump in and Fry's saddened to learn that he's now been in the future for 23 years and hasn't really accomplished much. So he decides that he's going to watch every TV show ever made. When told that that's impossible, he chooses one streaming service, and they call out it's actually the fourth most popular streaming service, and this is Hulu, which is obviously making fun of Hulu. And at that point, he said he's going to watch everything on there. And while that's happening, Bender is watching Hypnotoad. On the TV, we see a number of different satires on shows that we currently have on TV. We see Downton Krabby, Mayor of Metropolis, Better Call Cthulhu, The Queen's 8-Bit, The Marvelous Mrs. Poopenmeyer. So all of these are making fun of shows that currently exist. While signing up for Hulu, Fry's email address is panucci.assist@panucci.com. Panucci's is the pizzeria that he used to work at back in the 90s. We are then on the homepage for Hulu, and we see another list of very familiar yet slightly tweaked TV shows. We see Stranger Fonts, How I Met Your Slismar, The Scary Mirror, Always Sunny on Mercury, Blob's Burgers, Head Lasso, and Greenish, which I'm sure you can put together which TV shows these are. At this point, Amy tells Lela that Kif has a friend named Zap that she could get her with. Obviously, we know that Zap Brannigan was a semi-love interest of Lela, but, not really. Fry selects a show called Scary Mirror, which is obviously a reference to Black Mirror, and then they call it the fact that Black Mirror is basically a modern-day ripoff of The Twilight Zone. In the episode of Scary Mirror, it kind of looks like the Jetsons. The main character says, "Hey, Sneery," and it asks for an impassable burger rather than an impossible burger. I also love they call out that the NFTs are worthless, which is pretty funny considering the time that has passed, specifically in 2021, 2022, when NFTs kind of imploded. And they turn off the show and turn on a cooking show with Alzar where we see H.G. Blob. Fry is now in several months of binge watching, and if you want to binge watch Futurama, check down in the description and there's a link to the DVD box set. The only show Fry has left to watch is All My Circuits, which is the Calculon show we know from earlier seasons. And Bender makes the joke, which final season is he talking about? Because they got canceled like 3 or 4 times. Again, another nod to Futurama's very distinguished past. Fry decides to binge all of the final seasons of All My Circuits, which ends up being thousands of episodes. But it's not just binge watching, as in turning it on and hanging out on your couch. Here, they have these goggles that they drill into your head, and then they put on a binging suit. They hook them up to some hoses, and one of them is Slurm, which inputs directly into the suit, and as I'm sure you know, Slurm has made an appearance in every single Futurama episode. All My Circuits is brought to you by Honey Bunches of Springs. I don't believe we've ever seen this cereal before, but there are a ton of cereal references all over Futurama, and this is likely due to the late 80s and early 90s where sugary cereals and their advertising were all over morning cartoon programming. With Fry now running out of episodes, they're worried that his grip on reality won't be there, so they need to make more episodes of All My Circuits as they try to figure out a way to bring Fry safely back to reality. Since All My Circus has been canceled for years, they need to convince Hulu to reboot the series so they have more episodes and more time to figure out how to save Fry. They make another joke about how cable and broadcast would never bring back a show that's been canceled for over 10 years, but streaming services would. We then see the Hulu building from the trailer with the joke about the ads and no ads costs. The execubots from the box company in earlier seasons now work at Hulu, and they roll dice to determine whether or not to bring back All My Circuits. They initially say no, but then they see that the product integration and the advertising has seen a spike in sales due to one person. That person is Fry, so they agree to bring it back. We see a ton of packages coming to the Planet Express building, including honey bunches of oats and Hermes' order of THC oil. Calculine apparently died and is in robot hell, so we see the robot devil. Fry now only has 2 episodes left, so they're attempting to make All My Circuits immediately and determine that they need to continually make episodes to feed into his feed for him to watch. Slurms McKenzie makes an appearance for Slurm Zero in a commercial. Slurms McKenzie is looking like he's in very, very rough shape. They bring in a bottle named 5-Hour Battery Acid, which obviously is a call out to 5-Hour Energy. Fry is now streaming at twice the speed, so they have to make episodes faster, and then they run out of scripts. So they check out what's going on with the damn lazy writers. And now you see a quick nod to the writer's strike as they're all unconscious. We see 2 heads in jars. Eric Horsted, a producer on Futurama, is on the head and the table, and Shirin Najifi on the ground, as she wrote this episode, and I apologize for my pronunciation. The show then quickly is canceled, and they strike the set, and Lela is afraid that Fry will die. Even though the show has been canceled, they bring the actors to the Planet Express building, and while Fry watches the finale on Hulu, they're going to have the actors perform it in front of him to slowly bring him back to the real world. Fry catches on fire due to Bender's cigar, which is just like in the episode where Bender's cigar lights the tapestry on fire. And Amy goes to put him out with the 5-hour battery acid, which ends up melting Fry, which is like the billionth time we assume Fry has been killed. But then he just walks in the door and says that he actually left the binging pod 2 days earlier to catch up on some reading. Fry then references that the last episodes were terrible and he couldn't get through them, which in context of the show is because Bender was writing them and Lulu was directing them. But I wonder which real-world show this is referencing. Could it be Game of Thrones? We then have Morbo and Linda send us to a hearing at the White House about binging. There we see President Nixon, Kentucky Fried Lawyer, and the body of Spiro Agnew. And again, they make fun of rebooting episodes, saying don't reboot a series unless the quality is going to be there, and binge responsibly. So they really jam-packed this episode with characters that we haven't seen in a while. Let me know if there's any Easter eggs or callbacks that I missed. Well, that's it for me. Take it easy, YouTube.